The world knew him as a billionaire genius who built a fortune from nothing, until the night he destroyed the life of the one man who trusted him most. 5 years later, the same woman who watched him lose everything would stand inside a billion-dollar empire bearing his name. But she had no idea the struggling single father she abandoned was now the man everyone wanted to meet. The night Daniel Carter lost everything began with a single phone call. A call that would change his life forever. For years, Daniel had been known as the quiet genius behind one of the biggest business empires in the country. He wasn't the billionaire everyone saw on magazine covers. He wasn't the man giving speeches on giant stages. He was the man behind the scenes. The strategist. The problem solver. The person who turned impossible ideas into successful companies. But Daniel never cared about fame. The only things that mattered to him were his family and the people who believed in him. 5 years earlier, Daniel married Victoria Reed, the daughter of billionaire businessman Alexander Reed. To the world, their marriage looked like a fairy tale. Victoria was the daughter of one of the richest men in the country. Daniel was a talented businessman with a humble heart. Together, they had a beautiful daughter named Lily, and for a while, Daniel believed he had everything a man could ever want. But everything changed when Alexander Reed suddenly passed away. His death shocked the business world. Thousands of employees feared the company would collapse. Investors panicked. And Victoria suddenly found herself responsible for protecting her father's massive empire. Then came the discovery that destroyed Daniel's life. A financial report appeared showing that a major investment deal connected to Daniel had failed. The losses were enormous. $36 million. According to the documents, Daniel was responsible. Victoria was devastated. She looked at the numbers, the signatures, and the evidence in front of her. She didn't see her husband. She saw the man who had supposedly destroyed her father's legacy. "Did you know about this?" Victoria asked coldly. Daniel was confused. "What are you talking about? I would never risk your father's company." But Victoria was too hurt to listen. The people around her convinced her that Daniel had betrayed the family. They told her he had used her father's trust. They told her he only married her for power. Daniel tried everything. He checked the financial records. He contacted former partners. He searched for proof that someone had manipulated the numbers. But nobody wanted to hear him. Everyone had already decided he was guilty. Then Victoria gave him the choice that broke his heart. "You have to pay back the $36 million, she said. Daniel stared at her in disbelief. "Victoria, you know I don't have that kind of money." Her expression remained cold. "Then leave." Those 2 words destroyed him. The woman he loved. The mother of his child. The person he thought would stand beside him forever. Was the person who abandoned him when he needed her most. That night, Daniel packed his belongings into a small bag. He looked at his sleeping daughter Lily and fought back tears. He knew he had lost his wealth. He knew he had lost his reputation. But he refused to lose the most important thing in his life. His daughter. Daniel left the mansion with Lily in his arms and only one promise in his heart. One day, he would prove the truth. Not for revenge. Not for money. But so his daughter would know that her father was never the failure everyone believed him to be. However, as Daniel began searching through the company files, he discovered something strange. A hidden document buried deep inside Alexander Reed's old records. A document that showed the $36 million debt was not an accident. Someone had planned everything. And the name written on that document would reveal the shocking truth behind Daniel's downfall. Daniel Carter thought losing his company was the hardest thing he would ever face. He was wrong. The hardest part was waking up every morning and seeing his daughter Lily pretending everything was okay. After leaving the Reed family mansion, Daniel and Lily moved into a small apartment on the edge of the city. The luxury lifestyle they once knew disappeared overnight. No private drivers. No expensive dinners. No business meetings in skyscrapers. Just a small home, unpaid bills, and a father trying to hide his pain from the little girl who depended on him. Daniel remembered the first morning after everything changed. Lily sat at the kitchen table eating a simple breakfast and asked, "Daddy, are we poor now?" The question broke his heart. For a moment, Daniel didn't know what to say. He wanted to tell her about the betrayal. He wanted to tell her that her mother was wrong. He wanted to explain that he wasn't a failure. But Daniel looked into his daughter's eyes and chose something different. He smiled. "No, Lily. We're not poor. We still have each other." From that day forward, Daniel made a promise. His daughter would never feel abandoned. During the day, he worked whatever jobs he could find. He delivered packages. He repaired computers. He helped small businesses solve problems. The same man who once advised million-dollar companies was now struggling to pay everyday expenses. People who once respected him now ignored him. Former business partners refused to answer his calls. Investors laughed when they heard his name. Daniel Carter. The man who lost $36 million. They only remembered his failure. Nobody remembered his success. But Daniel refused to give up. Every night after Lily went to sleep, he sat at the old kitchen table and studied business reports. He analyzed markets. He researched new technology. He searched for opportunities. Not because he wanted to prove something to the world, but because he wanted to create a better future for his daughter. Then, one night, while reviewing the old company documents, Daniel discovered something that changed everything. A hidden financial record. A transaction that had never appeared in the official reports. Millions of dollars had been secretly transferred into fake accounts before Alexander Reed's death. The $36 million loss wasn't caused by Daniel. Someone inside the company had created the entire disaster. Daniel wasn't the person who destroyed the empire. He was the person who had been framed. For the first time in years, Daniel felt hope. He finally had proof. But there was one problem. Nobody would believe him. The billionaire family had already destroyed his reputation. The media had already labeled him a criminal. The business world had already moved on. Daniel realized something important. Fighting to rebuild his old life would only keep him trapped in the past. So he made a decision. He would stop trying to recover what was stolen from him. He would build something completely new. Using the knowledge he gained from years of working with successful companies, Daniel created a small technology startup from his apartment. At first, nobody noticed. His office was one room. His team was only 2 people. His first investment came from someone who believed in his vision, not his reputation. Slowly, everything began to change. One customer became 10. 10 became hundreds. A small idea became a powerful company. But Daniel kept his identity hidden. He didn't want revenge against Victoria. He didn't want the world's approval. He only wanted Lily to grow up knowing that her father never gave up. 5 years passed. The man everyone thought was destroyed was about to become the biggest surprise in the business world. Because one day, Victoria Reed received an invitation to an exclusive billionaire summit. The invitation had one name written on it. The name of the mysterious CEO everyone wanted to meet. When Victoria saw the name, her hands began to shake. Because she realized the billionaire behind the empire was the same man she left with a $36 million debt. Daniel Carter. 5 years had passed since Victoria Reed walked away from Daniel Carter. 5 years since she believed he had destroyed her father's legacy. 5 years since she left him standing alone with a $36 million debt and a broken heart. During those years, Victoria built a new life. From the outside, everything looked perfect. She was still the daughter of billionaire Alexander Reed. She still lived among powerful people. She still attended luxury events surrounded by investors and executives. But deep inside, something always bothered her. She never forgot the look on Daniel's face the night she left. It wasn't anger. It wasn't hatred. It was disappointment. And sometimes, late at night, Victoria wondered if she had made the biggest mistake of her life. But she pushed those thoughts away. She convinced herself she had done the right thing. Until the night she received the invitation. It was the most exclusive business event of the year. The world's top investors, CEOs, and entrepreneurs would gather to meet the person who had created the fastest-growing company in the country. The mysterious founder of Carter Global. A company that had risen from nowhere and reached a valuation of billions within only a few years. Everyone wanted to know one thing. Who was the genius behind it? Victoria attended the event expecting to meet another powerful businessman. Someone young. Someone ambitious. Someone she had never seen before. But when the lights dimmed and the CEO walked onto the stage, her entire world stopped. The crowd stood and applauded. The cameras flashed. The room filled with excitement. Then the speaker announced. Please welcome the founder and CEO of Carter Global. Daniel Carter. Victoria froze. Her glass slipped from her hand. The man standing under the spotlight was impossible to recognize. The Daniel she remembered was exhausted, wearing old clothes, and fighting to survive. This Daniel was different. He wore a simple but expensive suit. He spoke with confidence. The world's most powerful people listened to every word he said. The man she thought was finished had become someone everyone wanted to meet. But the biggest shock wasn't his success. It was his reaction when he saw her. Victoria expected anger. She expected revenge. She expected him to expose her in front of everyone. Instead, Daniel simply looked at her and smiled. Victoria. She could barely speak. How did you do this? Daniel looked around the room. I rebuilt. Those two words carried 5 years of pain, sacrifice, and determination. Victoria finally understood something. The man she abandoned didn't become successful because he hated her. He became successful because he refused to let his pain destroy him. Later that evening, Victoria found Daniel privately. She wanted answers. Why didn't you tell me you were building this? Daniel calmly replied. Because I wasn't building it to prove you wrong. That answer hurt more than anger would have. Then Daniel revealed something she never expected. He had spent the last 5 years investigating the $36 million debt. And he had finally uncovered the truth. The financial collapse wasn't Daniel's fault. Someone had deliberately created fake accounts, transferred money, and blamed him. Someone inside Alexander Reed's company had planned everything. Victoria felt her heart sink. Because if Daniel was telling the truth, then she had destroyed the life of an innocent man. She had believed the wrong people. She had walked away from the person who had protected her family. But Daniel wasn't finished. He had one final piece of evidence. A document that would reveal who betrayed them all. Victoria looked at him with fear in her eyes. Who did this? Daniel slowly opened the file. And when she saw the name written inside, she realized the betrayal came from someone she trusted more than anyone. Someone from her own family. Victoria Reed spent the entire night staring at the evidence in Daniel's hands. The documents. The financial records. The hidden transactions. Everything she had ignored 5 years earlier was now right in front of her. The truth was impossible to deny. Daniel had never stolen from her father. He had never destroyed Alexander Reed's company. He had been betrayed. And the worst part was knowing that she was the person who hurt him the most. Victoria remembered the night she left. She remembered Daniel begging her to listen. She remembered the pain in his eyes when she chose to believe strangers instead of the man she promised to love forever. For 5 years, she told herself she made the right decision. But now she realized something terrifying. She had punished an innocent man. The next morning, Victoria asked Daniel the one question that mattered most. "Where is Lily?" Daniel became quiet. For a moment, Victoria thought he was angry. But then he answered softly. "She's waiting for you." Victoria's heart stopped. She expected Lily to hate her. She expected rejection. After all, Lily was only a child when Victoria left. A child who needed her mother. A child who watched her family fall apart. When Victoria arrived at Daniel's home, she prepared herself for the worst. But when the door opened, she saw a young woman standing there. Lily was no longer the little girl she remembered. She was older. More confident. And she had the same kind eyes as Daniel. For a few seconds, neither of them spoke. Then Lily whispered. "Mom." That one word broke Victoria. She wanted to hug her daughter. She wanted to apologize for every birthday she missed. Every moment she wasn't there. Every memory she lost. But before Victoria could speak, Lily asked a question that hurt more than anything. "Why did you leave us?" Victoria looked down. She had prepared excuses. She had prepared explanations. But standing in front of her daughter, none of them mattered. "I thought I was protecting my family," Victoria said. Lily looked at her sadly. "But you were the one who broke it." The words were painful. But Victoria knew they were true. She cried. Not because she lost Daniel's wealth. Not because she discovered he became a billionaire. She cried because she finally understood what she had taken away. Years with her daughter. Years she could never get back. Then something unexpected happened. Daniel walked into the room. Victoria expected him to be cold. Instead, he did something she never expected. He defended her. "Lily, your mother made a mistake. But she is still your mother." Victoria looked at Daniel in disbelief. After everything she had done. He was still protecting her. "You could have turned her against me," Victoria said quietly. Daniel shook his head. "I know what it feels like to lose someone. I didn't want Lily to lose her mother too." Those words changed everything. Victoria finally saw the kind of man Daniel had always been. A man who chose kindness even when he had every reason to choose revenge. Over the next few months, Victoria worked hard to rebuild her relationship with Lily. She attended school events. She spent time with her daughter. She apologized not only with words but through actions. Meanwhile, Daniel continued expanding Carter Global. But something still bothered him. The person who destroyed Alexander's company had not yet faced the consequences. During the final investigation, Daniel discovered one more secret hidden in Alexander Reed's old files. A letter. A letter written before Alexander died. A letter that had been hidden for 5 years. And it was addressed to Daniel. When Daniel opened it, his hands began to shake. Because Alexander's final message revealed a truth nobody expected. Alexander knew Daniel was innocent all along. And he had one final request before he died. A request that would change Daniel and Victoria's future forever. Daniel Carter stared at the old envelope in his hands. The handwriting was familiar. It belonged to Alexander Reed. The man who had once trusted him. The man whose company had nearly been destroyed. The man whose death started the chain of events that ruined Daniel's life. For 5 years, Daniel believed Alexander never knew the truth. He believed the betrayal happened because he failed. But as he opened the letter, everything changed. Inside was a message written shortly before Alexander's death. The first sentence made Daniel freeze. "Daniel, if you are reading this, then the truth has finally been discovered." Daniel continued reading. Alexander explained that weeks before his death, he discovered suspicious activity inside the company. Large amounts of money had disappeared. Financial records had been altered. Someone had carefully created a plan to make Daniel look responsible. Alexander had wanted to expose the person behind it. But before he could reveal the truth, his health suddenly declined. He knew he might not have enough time. So he wrote the letter and hid it inside his private documents, hoping that one day Daniel would find it. Then Daniel read the words that brought tears to his eyes. "You were never the man who destroyed my legacy. You were the man who protected it." For 5 years, Daniel carried the weight of a crime he never committed. For 5 years, the world called him a failure. But Alexander had known the truth. He knew Daniel's loyalty. He knew Daniel's character. And he trusted him until the very end. The final part of the letter was not about business. It was about family. Alexander wrote, "Daniel, money can build companies, but only good people can build a legacy. Protect my daughter. Protect my granddaughter. And never allow anger to control your heart." Daniel closed the letter slowly. 5 years ago, he wanted justice. He wanted the world to know he was innocent. He wanted the people who destroyed him to feel the same pain he felt. But now he understood something. Winning was not about revenge. Winning was about becoming the person he always wanted to be. The investigation finally exposed the truth. The person responsible for the $36 million betrayal was a trusted executive who had worked closely with Alexander for years. The man had manipulated financial records, stolen company funds, and used Daniel as the perfect person to blame. When the truth became public, the world was shocked. The billionaire everyone thought had failed was actually the victim. News channels called Daniel a genius. Business leaders praised his determination. Investors admired how he rebuilt himself from nothing. But Daniel wasn't interested in fame. He focused on his daughter. He focused on his company. And he focused on helping others who had lost everything. Carter Global became one of the world's most successful companies. But unlike many billionaires, Daniel used his wealth differently. He created programs to help struggling families. He supported young entrepreneurs. He gave opportunities to people who were ignored by society. Victoria watched everything from a different perspective. The man she once abandoned had every reason to hate her. Instead, he showed forgiveness. Their relationship was never the same as before. Some wounds needed time. But they built something stronger than their old marriage. Respect. Trust. And a commitment to give Lily the family she deserved. Years later, when young entrepreneurs asked Daniel how he became successful, he always gave the same answer. "Losing everything was the best thing that ever happened to me." People were always surprised. But Daniel smiled and explained. "When life takes away what you have, it gives you a chance to discover who you really are." The world thought Daniel Carter's story was about a billionaire who rebuilt an empire. But the truth was much deeper. It was about a father who refused to give up. A man who chose forgiveness over revenge. And a person who proved that sometimes the greatest success is not becoming rich. It is becoming someone you can be proud of.